Noah looked at Stella the same way he had seen men look at women on TV. "Stella, please," he said softly. "Let's do that thing again. The one the man and woman did in the video. I like it. It's so nice." Tears welled up in Stella's eyes as she shook her head. "No, brother Noah, I won't do that again. It hurts so much. I never want to do it in my life again." Are you wondering how these children reached such a point? Why is Noah asking Stella to do something so unspeakable? How did it get here? And where are their parents in all of this? Stay with me as we uncover the heartbreaking story of Stella and Noah. 9-year-old Noah and his 7-year-old sister Stella were often left alone at home. Their parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ademola, were hard-working professionals who juggled demanding careers. Noah and Stella had grown used to being by themselves, though it was far from something they enjoyed. To pass the time, they played board games or drew pictures, but the TV always seemed to lure them in. One evening, Noah stumbled upon a late-night show while flipping through channels. Bright lights, loud music, and adults laughing filled the screen. The scenes were flashy and exciting, though odd to him. Curious, he called out to his sister, "Stella, come here. Look at this." Noah's voice echoed down the hallway. Intrigued, Stella rushed into the living room and sat beside her brother. The two stared wide-eyed at the screen, mesmerized by the fast-pacing visuals. They didn't understand much of what they saw, but it seemed fun, so they kept watching. "Why are they doing that?" Stella asked innocently, her forehead creased in confusion. "I don't know," Noah replied. "Maybe it's something fun that grown-ups do." Here? The scenes continued, leaving their young minds confused yet curious. They didn't realize that what they were watching wasn't meant for their eyes. Unknowingly, they had stepped into a world far beyond their understanding. Days passed, but the images from the show stayed fresh in their minds. Curiosity grew, soon becoming something they couldn't ignore. One afternoon, while their parents were at work, Noah turned to Stella, his face lighting up with excitement. "Stella, do you remember that thing we saw on TV?" he asked, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Stella tensed as the unsettling images crept back into her mind. "I don't know, Noah. It didn't feel right," she replied hesitantly, but Noah had already made up his mind. "Let's try it," he said with a playful smile, unaware of the weight of his words. Stella frowned, uneasy. "No, Noah. Mum said we shouldn't copy things we see on TV." Oblivious to the implications, Noah persisted. "Come on, Stella. It's just pretend. No one will know." Stella hesitated, feeling trapped by her brother's insistence. "I don't think we should," but Noah cut her off. "Remember when you went outside that day, even though Mum and Dad told us not to? No one found out. But if you don't do this with me, I'll tell Dad." Panicked, Stella didn't know what to do. Noah's words made her feel trapped. Finally, she nodded reluctantly. "Okay, Noah, let's do it." In that moment, the curiosity that had always driven their adventures took a dark turn. Unlike their usual sweet and innocent games, this time was different. As they entered the room and lay on the bed, Stella felt a sharp pain. She screamed and ran into the living room. "This is weird, Noah. I never want to do this again in my life," she cried, clutching her chest as tears streamed down her face. Noah, on the other hand, didn't understand why Stella was so upset and still wanted to continue. He was completely unaware of how terribly wrong the situation had become. Days passed, and Stella's discomfort grew. She noticed unsettling changes in Noah's behavior. He had become more stubborn and insistent. The innocence that had once defined their bond seemed to have slipped away. One afternoon, when Mrs. Ademola came home briefly to pick up some documents, Stella saw a chance to speak up. "Mum, can I talk to you?" she asked hesitantly, her voice trembling. Mrs. Ademola, distracted by phone calls and her busy schedule, barely looked up. "Not now, Stella. I'm in a hurry," she replied, juggling her tasks. Stella stood there, her heart sinking. Her mother sighed, clearly stressed. "Later, darling. Be a good girl, all right," she said before rushing out the door. Stella retreated to her room, tears streaming down her cheeks. She felt invisible in her own home, the safe place she so desperately needed. All she wanted was for her mother to listen and understand her pain. Unable to bear the silence any longer, Stella ran out of the house one afternoon after Noah tried again to pressure her. She didn't know where to go, but ended up at the door of their kind neighbour, Aunt Grace. "What happened, Stella?" Aunt Grace asked, kneeling down to meet her at eye level. Stella couldn't hold it in any longer. She burst into uncontrollable tears, spilling everything: Noah's requests, her growing fear, and the deep discomfort she felt. Aunt Grace wrapped her in a comforting hug. "You did the right thing by telling me," she said softly. "You don't have to carry this alone. I'm here for you." "Mama," Stella clung to Aunt Grace, finally feeling a sense of relief. When Aunt Grace confronted Mr. and Mrs. Ademola, they were shocked. "Noah wouldn't do something like that," Mr. Ademola said firmly, struggling to believe it. Mrs. Ademola tried to downplay the seriousness of the situation, but Aunt Grace was resolute. "Children see what they see and try to make sense of it," she said. "You've been so focused on work that you've forgotten to see what your children are watching. This is a warning." Her words hit home. The Ademolas realized their negligence had made their children vulnerable. They took immediate action, monitoring screen time and introducing only age-appropriate content. They also sought counseling for both Noah and Stella to help them process their emotions. The family began spending more quality time together. In the evenings, Mrs. Ademola read stories and Mr. Ademola played games with the children. Gradually, the bond between the siblings was restored through positive activities. Months passed, and the Ademolas became a more attentive and loving family. The once painful silence in their home was replaced by laughter and warmth. One evening, as they played a board game together, Stella looked at her parents and said softly, "Thank you for listening to me now." Her words, though simple, were filled with meaning. Tears welled up in Mrs. Ademola's eyes, and in that moment, the family understood the true importance of being present for one another. This was a new beginning for the Ademolas, one built on stronger bonds and a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Thank you so much for watching this story, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. I would like you to share your lessons in the comments section, and if you enjoyed this video, I would like you to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever we post new stories. Thank you so much for all your love and your support. That means so much to me, and I can't even thank you enough. Right now, I'll have to go and hear in our next story. Bye!